I'd like to call this meeting to order. Now is the time for the open forum. This is the time for any concerned citizen of Jefferson to speak to the council on any item that is not on the agenda. Jim?
I'm Jim Nelson. I got two topics if I can. One is I retired from the fire department 20 years ago. And I was talking to some of the firemen the other day, and they were telling me that the fire station roof leaks. And when they get a truck, they got to cut 2 inches off the mirror brackets to get them in the doors. Now, I was wondering if we're going to spend $427,000 on a new fire truck in a year or two, do you want somebody to bring a sawzall and start chopping on it? The thing I'm getting at is that the council in 2020 to 2025, they spent $2.5 million on forgivable loans. Why can't some of that money be used on the fire station? You're using your money to fix other people's businesses and that on the square and everything else. Why can't the city take care of their own business with that money?
Go ahead. Is that it, Jim?
No, the second subject I want to talk about is that 2 or 3 years ago, the city sold a lot on the west side of 800 block of West Lincoln Way to a contractor to have a house built there within a year. That lot is still empty. I was wondering why. You guys are talking about wanting housing in that in Jefferson, but you sell lots to construction people and they don't build like they're supposed to.
Yeah, Jim, what I tell you is that, of course, you're correct about that. And it's not just that. There is, I believe, probably 4 total lots where that have that very, very similar type of a situation where it was sold with the contingency on that. Yeah, I guess we're aware of that, and Chad Stevens continues to work with them about any possibilities of still having them perform their construction like they're supposed to.
But when they bought it for $500, wasn't that the stipulation that it'd be a house on it within a year?
True. That's true, yeah.
And it's not there?
Right, so then the decision becomes, does the city want it back?
Pardon me?
Then the decision becomes, does the city want to have the property back? Because that's what happens, you know, if they didn't comply by building, it'd have the city would have the opportunity to get the property back.
So you sell a lot and they promise to do it, and they don't do it?
Just haven't chosen to proceed down that path yet. You know, we'd still work with them. If they wanted to get it done, we'd still work with them. Love to.
Okay, what about the deal about the fire station? I mean, the guys are cutting 2 inches off a mirror bracket to get a truck in the door.
Yeah, and what I tell you is that we're well aware of that too, you know.
Why can't they put big overhead doors in?
We've had that discussion with them about it's just not practical for them to widen that out. I know they had some real concerns about that. And we went through this capital improvement planning process here about this time last year. And in the out years of that, it included an addition for a fire station that gets to be a little bit bigger so that we could handle bigger trucks. But as we worked through that process and then ultimately working with the chief, you know, it was removed in a cooperative manner. I mean, it was removed from the plan, but the fire department certainly knew about that.
Okay, why don't you take the dock out and take that south wall, even with the south wall of City Hall, and put in like 3 or 4 bay doors on the south end, should be a drive-through.
Yeah, I think there's some options.
You guys got the money?
Haven't chosen to proceed down that path yet.
I mean, you got the money. I mean, you spent $2.54 million on forgivable loans in the last 5 years.
Have you spoken with Jack Williams?
I have.
What was his thoughts on this?
He told me he was going to be here tonight, and and listen to this, but I guess he got busy.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to hear what he thinks too.
But I mean, I don't wanna, I need to spend $427,000 on a truck.
Right.
And then someone come out with a sawzall and start chopping on it.
Sure. I think that's, hopefully he's here next meeting and maybe he has some thoughts on that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yep.
Bill?
I don't mean to be a pest and be here all the time, but just want to talk about taxes a little bit. Our property taxes have increased, and I think everybody's here has increased by 100% in the last 8 years. They're double what they were 8 years ago. And my concern is, there's 3 areas. One's the city. That's 36% is the city in our property taxes. 38% is the school district, and the county does 30%. Our senior population is about 1/3 of the city. They all have limited increases in income. They live on a standard income, very little increases. Makes it difficult for them to survive. Has our city taken on too much? You know, just what he said about the fire department. I've seen that. I've talked with firemen that work here in the city. And, the fact that they have to cut their mirrors just to get the trucks in. Are we spending too much money, like they say, on forgivable loans? And by the way, how many retail businesses do we have around the squares? You know, they had a sidewalk sale. There was one business that had a sidewalk out there, but they have a sidewalk all summer long sale. And what are we promoting? Nice, beautiful storefronts that we look pretty, but are we getting any tax dollars in the community by not having retail? You know, we got this new deal with Ames to bring prosperity to our community. I sure hope it works, but there's no retail around our square. You have a couple thrift stores and a couple other stores, and that's about it. It's engineer's office, lawyer's offices, real estate offices, radio stations. But where's the business? And the council members are the one that say yes to all of that. Sometimes you can say no. You don't always have to say yes to everything that the city brings to you. And sometimes you need to say, maybe we need to spend that money someplace else. Maybe like the fire department, which helps save lives and buildings within our community and within the county. But I would just like to see that, you know, I know our property tax rates have gone up. And our tax rate has gone down 10%. But the property taxes have gone up 45%. And it's just way too much. And our senior citizens need help. And I imagine a lot of people that are looking at buying houses in this community are saying, what are the property taxes? And are they doing anything to help lower them for our residents? Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess my thought, I mean, we don't set the property tax, and I think that, I'm not sure it would go down if the city didn't spend either. The thing I would think about around the square is there are more businesses than you mentioned. And I mean, I know we're much bigger than the other towns in this county, but if you look at, I would rather us be in the position where we did have businesses open than when you look at what the squares would be like in the other towns in our community, or even in other communities outside the county that are our size or maybe even a little bigger. Maybe it was Harry, I always credit you with saying this, but when you lose a business and the building falls in, and then that's what you're doing, then it's like when you miss one tooth, then the rest go too. I know when I was on Grand Junction City Council, the thing that we were mostly always doing is deciding which building that wasn't going to survive anymore, we were going to tear down next.
Well, it's not so much to tear down the buildings, but being responsible, you know, our property values have increased with this cost. That doesn't mean we need to spend all the money that you get. What I'm saying is can we reduce what we're spending so we can lower the tax rate instead of just spending, just because we have X
Yeah.
amount of dollars, we go ahead and spend all of it.
Scott, can you talk about a little of that too?
Well, yeah, you know, I can, and over time, you know, you're right, that as the valuations go up, even if the tax levy remains the same, total tax dollars go up. That, of course, is very true. But also, what I would speak of is my limited time here, about what happened this last budget year, in that total property tax dollars collected by the city are just a hair less than what they were the previous year. That's total tax dollars. Okay, because valuation actually went down just a hair. So even though our property tax levy was roughly the same, went down just a little bit. But yeah, in that one case, you know, you look at that and you say, yeah, total tax dollars that the city collects for this current budget year were actually slightly less than they were the year before. I'll grant you that that doesn't happen every year.
I know, and you know, if they could just be a little more physically aware of spending money, and maybe some items, like he says, the forgivable loans, you know, that's a lot of money that's gone away that could have been used for other things that are more important to keep our city alive. But if we reduce the rate for the entire county, that would help a lot.
Thank you. Larry?
My name's Larry Joy. I live at 504 East Washington. I've never done this before, but bear with me. I've sat here and listened to these guys about money being spent in this town, and I am not blind. We've spent a lot of money in this town. My biggest concern is when is this town going to take care of the water problem when we get a lot of rain? I know we got a lot of rain at one time at 6 inches, but my sump pump in my basement cycled every 3 minutes since that. And I've had 2 fans running in the basement, and now if we get an inch of rain, I've got water coming back in. Because the fairgrounds is flooded, which in return backs it up north and coming towards my place. I've never had water in my basement like this in the 8 years that I've lived there. Matter of fact, that big rain was the first time I've heard my secondary pump come on. And our fairgrounds are always flooded. It doesn't look good for, you know, we want to fix the square, yet our fairgrounds looks like garbage. It's flooded. I just want to know when some of the money is going to get spent practically, instead of signs trying to find the quilting shop or just name lots. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent in this town, and I'm a little scared to even see my electric bill since all this water comes. You know, we got 3 inches over the weekend. Once again, water in my basement, and it's never been that way till recent here. And I don't know if there's if it's in the works. If it's not, I wished it would get in the works. because I'm tired of running fans and trying to keep the water out of my basement, and my sump pump just running, cycling every 3 minutes.
Yeah, great.
What was that? I read that in either Tories or Coltrane's about fairgrounds, right?
Yeah, so just some general discussion about this incident and what happened with that, because certainly there are many basements around town that got flooded.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
Many. I will not disagree. I've talked to a lot of people.
And whether that is groundwater that's seeping through the foundation being one thing, or we know that a lot of it is sanitary sewer backup then too. So
That's the only thing that saved me, is I'm not on city sewer. I have a septic, or I've been like my neighbors and had sewer in my basement.
Sure.
But I didn't have that problem, but
so I did want to know, what has been done here then over the years, because, again, I'm relatively new, but I do know enough about the history here to know that there's been some issues over time, and what's been done with sanitary sewer. And especially this go around, we had a lot of problems in the southeast part of town. And there was a lot of problems down there. But so my question was, so what have we done in the past to address a lot of that stuff? Virtually all of that area down there from Russell on north, the pipes the sewer lines have already been slip lined. They've been lined, and that was done in 22 and 23. Now, so that helps out as far as, keeping roots out of there and make sure things continue to flow. Okay, does it stop all the water coming in? Obviously not. We have a huge problem with infiltration. But there has been things that have been done incrementally along the years to try to address that. And the one other thing that will affect you personally is that drainage district over there at the fairgrounds, and then to the north. That from the fairgrounds that drains to the north past your place and dumps up there by the railroad. So here recently, the city council had amended our urban renewal plan, and what this does is allows us to use TIF dollars, and that's one of the projects that's identified to be able to work on that and to address that situation over there. Okay, no hard and fast promises about any project that's been done. It hasn't really been explored.
nothing's hard and fast. I just want an answer of that it is going to be addressed and moved forward.
Yep, and I'm going to give you something that is happening, that at least on the cleaning of it side of things, we routinely do sanitary sewer cleaning with the contractor, and then would hit some problem spots then in storm sewers. So anyway, that contractor's coming on Monday, and then that storm sewer is identified as an area for them to work on. Okay, again, I wouldn't promise you much of anything because I know the condition is poor.
Yeah.
But I would also tell you it's being addressed, and this will happen on Monday or first part of next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the consent items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Aaron
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weitrick.
Aye.
Somali.
Aye.
Under new business, item A, consider approval of pay estimate number 30 to Shank Contractors Incorporated for $38,969.70 for the wastewater treatment plant project.
Yeah, so this is for work completed through the month of July, mainly associated with Field Order 26, which was a laundry list of separate items. I'm not sure what the specific items were for this one, but they are working on stuff and getting things finished up. I guess we would recommend approval of this pay request for the $38,969.70. Leaves us about $424,000 to a balance to finish, and $367,000 of that is retainage. So right now, very little of actual work items left to complete.
Move to approve. Second.
Smollett.
Aye.
Weetrick. Sloan.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Aaron Holtz.
Aye. On to reports, Jim.
Mayor, if I could, just one thing while we're talking sewer plant yet, was in the memo about when we would have that public open house down there. So we do want to have a public open house. The proposal is that we will host a Java and Juice down there on a Friday morning, so it'd be September 12th. We'd host Java and Juice down there at 9:30, do a ribbon cutting for the event about 10 o'clock, and then do some small group tours then after that. So we're working with Bolton and Mink about assuring that their staff's here to work with us on that, get some display boards, that type of stuff, and be ready. But if we can work on September 12th, that morning, I know it's Friday morning, and I know folks have a tough time with that, but if there's any chance that you could be there between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, I think that'd be great, because that will be the ribbon cutting photo op.
And then one other item on there, well, we did have recently an issue come up with the roof on the digester building. Right now, we're just kind of trying to gather info and determining facts of what happened, and we'll give the city an update when we get everything pulled together on that. And there is a progress meeting, not this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 20th. So that'll be a discussion topic there too, so.
Okay. Is that your report, Jim?
Nope.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, pickleball court, the photo cell was replaced last Thursday. I went out there and checked and did not have any blinking or issues, so the lights seem to be working properly now, so hopefully that one's all completed. Westwood, we're updating costs and then looking to have the public information meeting mid-late September. And then on Greenwood, I'm going to give a little bit more of an update on that one. So on 7/24, we had the review meeting. There's over 30 people there, I think. We had city staff, Greenwood board, Congregate Meals board and staff, the resident from the apartment in that building, and then several other people attended too. We were basically reviewing the options that we had prepared for the different elements, the community building, clubhouse site, and the development area. We had a lot of good discussion on the pros and cons of each of the different options and such for each of the different areas. I think the meeting was 2.5 hours or better, so a lot of good discussion on that. Basically what we were working to do is get that defined down to a preferred option for each one. So on the community building, basically we ended up that the layout of the main floor there's essentially no change. Just looking at doing a refresh, moving a laundry and storage up to that main floor for Congregate Meals, so they're all on that floor and don't have to access the basement for anything. And then in the basement, we had included an area for the pro shop, a bar area, and then a simulator with 2 stations, new bathrooms, and a seating area for near the simulators. Clubhouse site, we were looking at additional parking, some outdoor seating, some outdoor cart parking, and realignment of the cart path, because there would be some changes. If that were to move, there would be some changes in the whole numbering, and so there was some changes there. And in the development area to the west, we looked at extending the road and utilities and doing basically 3 duplexes to the north side and 4 duplexes to the south side for a total of 14 units. So that was kind of the baseline that we're using now. So we're updating our visuals, updating the cost estimates, and starting to work on that financial study and be looking at presenting our findings in September.
Okay. Thank you. Roxanne.
No report.
David. Scott.
A couple things about, we're in the midst of now looking for a street employee. So Bill McDowell had retired. So Bill's been a sanitation worker for us for 23 years, and Bill has retired. And at the end of July, he was done. And so there'd been a little shuffling then in Public Works. And so our residential operator had chosen to shift over to the commercial operator, which is the lead guy, and that's Mike Wallace, would be our commercial sanitation operator. And then, oh, Roxanne, help me out with the name. Yeah, Mickey's gonna be the residential operator then for garbage. So Mickey's spot in streets then is available. So that is the position then that we're working on filling right now. So applications are coming in, and we're to the point now where we'll start going through those and get to interviews and hopefully get somebody hired sooner rather than later. A little update on library and that proposed project at the library, that they had the concepts drawn up about what would have been a very large project at the library. And as they did the funding analysis, they found out that the funding availability in the community is likely a lot less. So what we had done then is asked for RFQs from architects to design what would be a much smaller project. And then we give them the guidance on that to say, design us a project, but the maximum cost is $4 million. And before, some of the concepts had shown as much as $10 million. So last week we did have 3 firms that came to interview for that, and the library board will be making a recommendation on that shortly. So you'll hear about this, and it'll come back to the council, of course, to enter into a contract with this firm. So also just don't be surprised, when it comes time to discuss funding. The library certainly has some funds, and they would put some funds toward it, but they undoubtedly will be asking the city for some funding to assist with that also. So I guess don't be surprised when you hear that. Variance, and this was in the council memo, that it noted a special exception and a variance for the middle school project. Okay, and these are actions then of the Board of Adjustment. So per our zoning regulations, in order to have residential living on the first floor and basement in the downtown residential zone, you need to have a special exception. So that it's a allowed use, but the Board of Adjustment needs to grant you this as a special exception, so to speak. So they considered that, did grant that special exception. There's also a zoning variance that goes with that, and it has to do with the south property line. So because that corridor connecting the school and the gym is there, and will continue to be there, that corridor doesn't meet the required side yard setback. So he asked for a variance for that corridor to continue to be there. So the Board of Adjustment did go ahead and grant that variance. Within our code, it says that the City Council would be informed of that action. So that's you're being informed of that action now. And last thing I wanted to point out was an honor for the community, that the downtown building restoration project has been chosen by the Iowa League of Cities then as an all-star community award winning project. So Jefferson's an all-star community through the Iowa League of Cities. So during their conference on September 17th, that would be a Thursday, they would have a special awards banquet. And we need some folks from Jefferson certainly to be at the awards banquet. And if I want to set that up with you, see how many folks we can have go, because the more the better.
Okay, you done? Okay, Mark, anything?
No report.
Harry?
No report.
Matt?
No report.
Chad?
No report.
Pat? No report. Darren?
Report.
I have no report. So we're done.